Hi, mining community. Welcome back to another episode of the Dig Deep the Mining podcast. And today's guest is Kyle Hardy, who's CEO of Cloudbreak Discovery, who are a specialist early stage project generator with a diverse portfolio of mineral assets. Cloudbreak owns equity positions and royalties in a variety of projects across multiple jurisdictions, primarily in the Americas and Africa. Kyla has over 15 years experience in the resources sector and is an executive and obviously in the executive and management position. And he's here to tell us more about Cloudbreak Discovery. So let's welcome Kyla to the podcast. How you doing, Kyla?
I'm doing well. How are you, Rob?
Yeah, I'm good in sunny England, and you're over in Vancouver.
Yes, sir. We are today.
Yeah. So I wondered if you can give the audience a background about yourself. As I mentioned, you've been in the resources industry for 15 years. So just wondered if you can run us through your background and your career to sort of present day.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's actually been a little longer than 15 years.
Okay.
I use 15 years as the time I've been in the I guess on the mining side of stuff. But I started my career actually when I was a kid working in the logging and engineering business with the family business, and from there, post secondary school, I got onto the drill rigs and worked oil rigs and worked diamond drills for a long time before founding a couple of companies and mining service businesses, and built those up, sold one to my partners, and one of which has morphed over the years into our merchant bank called Cronin Capital, and which spawned Cloudbreak Discovery. And you know, it's been an interesting journey to get from the operations side onto the corporate finance and company building side over the last 15 years, honestly. And I guess it's just from our background, or my background, we approach building companies and projects from a very operational and technical point of view, with the corporate side coming in as a very close second. But we got to make sure there's something there before we can go on and explore for it.
Yeah. So what was your family business in, and how did you find that transition from being it's not even necessarily boots on the ground, but doing the hard yards, to now running companies?
Well, our family business was in logging and engineering, so we went and found commercial patches of trees and on the west coast here in Canada and in the interior of British Columbia, and designed logging programs for them for the mills. And the transition from boots on the ground, hard labor, if you will, to the corporate side has been for me great. I really enjoy it. I still get out and hammer on rocks every now and then and get in the field, but as you get a little older, you don't want to be beating your body up so much anymore, and lived a bit of a hard life between sports and work when I was younger. So I think my body appreciates the transition.
Yeah, I can imagine. So now I wondered if you can give us an overview and background to Cloudbreak Discoveries.
Absolutely, yeah. So Cloudbreak was put together originally as a company called Ridge Royalty Corp here in Canada in 2015, and we were going after energy royalties. And promptly after finishing our seed financing, oil walked off a cliff, and we sat on our hands for the next year and a half trying to figure out what to do. Over that year and a half, and then into the next couple of years, we tried a few different things, and failure after failure, and it just didn't get much traction with it. And eventually, I guess about two and a half years ago, we decided to start putting part of our private business into it, which was project generation. We've been active in the project generation space for over 10 years, 70 plus project transactions underneath our belt. It's a business we know really well, and it was a natural fit into there. It was okay. We got this, this small pool of capital. We've got we have to do something with this in order to make a return for our shareholders, and we just slowly started building the pieces in. And what ultimately culminated in a I guess it was a four-way merger between four entities to form Cloudbreak Discovery PLC on the LSE, and now we're a listed company with a couple of shekels in our pocket, and we're going to be moving forward. So it's, you know, it had its roots in 2015 in a completely different sector, but you know, we have to be dynamic and change as the market changes and as the conditions change around us, which is one thing that I think we pride ourselves on over here.
Yeah, and you mentioned obviously you're a project generator. Can you just explain how you, first of all, I suppose, look at projects, how the projects come to you, or do you have to go and find them? And what's your process in terms of analysing the projects? What's the process that you go through?
That's a great question, and I just want to preface it a little bit by saying the project generator model over here in Canada is a very common model. A lot of juniors. There's a lot of listed companies that do project generation, that find assets and sell them. There's also a very deep culture in the geological and prospecting side of the mineral business here, going out and finding assets, and prospectors are substantially project generators. But we've noticed in the UK and in the European markets that there was a gap. There's maybe one or two other listed project generators currently, and so that's one of the reasons we came over there. But our process is you actually hit it well on both sides. So we go and find projects, but projects also come to us, and it's a pretty healthy mix of both what we do. When projects come to us, it's mostly other junior firms looking to divest. If they're looking to restructure part of their business, we'll have a look at their portfolio and kind of pick and choose, and maybe we'll take the whole portfolio, maybe we'll choose one or two assets we really like and sort of cut a long dated deal on it, so that we're paying as little as possible up front, and we're able to bring another partner in to advance that as quick for the most return possible for Cloudbreak, but also for our partner who we're buying the asset from. But the real crux of the project generation side is going out and finding things that others haven't necessarily found, or deploying our technical ideas that others necessarily haven't thought of or haven't acted on. And so we approach it in a pretty disciplined manner. We'll do a jurisdictional review. Where do we want to be working in the world? We'll do a commodity review. What do we think we're going to have partners for in the coming months and years? And then we'll really start to drill down from there and acquire data sets and start to review that data with our technical team here. And after we've either come up with an idea or we've dismissed an idea, you know, we'll either move on, or we'll start to stake and acquire and consolidate a region. We want to build a fairly sizable land position across multiple projects in a region, so that when we go in, we're not, you know, we're deploying the knowledge capital that we've built internally. That's really where we get a lot of our value, is the amount of knowledge, the amount of research that we do in an area, and we've got that upper hand on others who maybe haven't done as much research in a region.
Yeah, and is there any sort of commodities that you do focus on, or you do prefer, or is it just really dependent upon jurisdiction, country, and the actual project itself?
So, you know, that's a great question, and I think that you know, I don't think I know, and we've been very deliberate about avoiding the precious metals primarily. We're not a precious metals project generator. If they come about, we're not gonna put a good project aside and say we're not gonna bother with it. But we're very focused on, I guess, the base bulks and industrials, and so, but by base I mean things like copper, nickel, lead, zinc, these kind of things. Bulks, iron ore, and bauxite in particular. I think that there's a really good argument to the bauxite sector coming forward here. And then in the industrials, when I say industrials, that's sort of a very broad term, but sand, gravel, dimension stone, things that are used. All of these commodities are things that are regularly consumed off the market, and that's why we like them. And as a broader sense, a across all of those components there. I said bauxite is one of them, copper is one of them, lithium. We've got a sub or not a sub, but sort of an overarching theme of going after commodities that are helping with this green and electrification revolution that's going on right now globally. And we think that there's a really good opportunity, specifically in copper, nickel, and lithium right now, and coming up with ideas that others haven't necessarily thought of, and really getting outside the box on a few of our project generation initiatives.
Yeah, and is there so any jurisdictions that you favour?
Definitely. I mean, North America, it's our backyard, right? So we're very active in Canada. We've recently formed a strategic alliance with Alianza Minerals based out of Vancouver, to explore in the Western United States for copper. We're active in lithium project generation right now in the United States, Eastern United States in particular. But so Canada, US, that's one component of our business. One of the reasons we came to the LSE and listed over in UK rather than in Canada is we're looking to diversify our country risk, I suppose, and get a little bit torquier, if you will, by taking a focus on West Africa. I think there's a really good opportunity across French-speaking West Africa in particular for us right now. And over the next bit here, so sorry, let me take one step back. North American investors, they're going over to Africa is a little bit of a stretch too far at times. So the UK investors, the European investors who we're working with now and who have come into the company here, they understand the country risk, they understand the jurisdictional risk of West Africa, but also Europe too. There's different risks associated with both of them. So part of our diversification is getting into Africa in a bigger way, and also looking at various regions throughout Europe right now. And I think it's going to be an interesting push over the next 18 to 24 months into various jurisdictions that we've already been active in.
Yeah, obviously you mentioned that you're listed on the London Stock Exchange, and obviously you're Canadian. Just wonder what the reasons why you listed on London Stock Exchange rather than say the TSX or or even New York, maybe stock exchange.
I'd love to be listed on New York. I think we're a little small right now, but you know what? We can hope and dream that we get there. So that's an interesting question, and I think we've been pretty deliberate in our mission to be listed in London, and that is, again, right back to jurisdictional focus where we're going to be exploring. So we do have North America, but that diversification into Europe and Africa is key for us. And UK-based investors, I find, are more accepting of those jurisdictions that we want to get involved in, and not only accepting, but have a long history and understand the opportunity, but also understand the risks associated with it. And one of the other big reasons is it's not a crowded space for a project generator. There's one other real project generator listed in London right now who we've got a lot of respect for, and I think they've done a great job. But over in Canada here, I don't know the exact numbers, but let's call it 40 listed project generators, some more successful than others. In London, if there's two of us, we get to put our head above the parapet and get a lot more attention once we've developed an understanding of our business model within the investor community. So those are the two big reasons. I guess a bit of a third sub reason is that I think there's a lot of generalist capital available looking to deploy into junior resources, and it's back to that, which space is crowded and which space is less crowded. So I think that there's a really good just general corporate opportunity to be listed in London.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, and you're probably right in what you're saying about only having two companies that are similar to yours, or yourselves and the other company, where you can lift your head above the parapet. Whereas obviously being Canada, you have many companies that are quite similar. So yeah, no, I agree with
Exactly.
you there. How does your board and management team lend themselves to your business model?
Yeah, so we've recently made some great additions to our management team, which I'm very happy about. I'll start on our board. Andrew Mail and Emma Priestley, long-term London-based board members. They've been active across a number of companies. Andrew is a transplant Canadian over into London, and Emma, well known through the London market and very active on her company, building her gold mine right now down in Ghana. And it's really great to have them on board and get all their experience that they have in that market that we don't necessarily have. Kyle Hookey is additionally one of our board members. He's based out of Perth, Australia, and he brings a bit of a dynamic nature to our business, and he comes from a wealth management and broking background, so a little bit more on the financial side, and he comes up with a lot of our structuring ideas, how we put deals together. So I think our board is well diversified. Over the next 6 months or so, we're probably going to add another UK-based director, non-exec, in order to round out our board and have a much heavier footing in London. And just stay tuned for that. But our management team is primarily based in Vancouver here, and that's it's where we operate. So we've myself, CEO of the company, David Robinson. He's been a partner of mine for a number of years here, and he's joined us as our CFO. Long history in fund management and analyst work, as well as audit management. So he's really the guy that keeps the show on the rails. And then our technical team, which we're building and growing. Rory Kutlalulu, young man, great geologist. He's been very active in the Canadian resource sector and international, European and US for a long time. And his career has been quite stunning for his age, and he's completed his second feasibility study prior to joining us. And his first feasibility study ended up in the sale of the company he was working for quite a tidy sum to Goldcorp. And so bringing him on as COO and deploying not only his corporate knowledge, but his really, really good technical knowledge and his ability to translate technical and grassroots projects into a value. He's really good at building that bridge between the two sides of a transaction. And with him and his network, we brought in Cam Barsh here recently as our VP exploration. Cam's got a long history in structural geology, but also advanced technical reports, resource estimates, pre-feasibility, feasibility studies. We've worked on and off with Cam for the last 10 years, either him working for our group or us contracting for groups that he was working for. So it's and his knowledge, again, over into Europe. He spent a fair bit of time with Dundee Gold over in Europe, and a lot of work in the States as well, and some in Africa even. So it's, I think the team's well rounded. And additionally, our the last new addition is Henrik Mikkelsen. We brought him on as our VP corporate development, based in Zug, Switzerland, and his background of fund management and interaction with some pretty famed resource investors. He's got a vision of how to deploy this model into the European markets in particular, and that's why we brought him on. He's just got a really deep understanding of what we want to do, and from a portfolio management point of view, he really gets it.
Yeah, that sounds like a good, well-rounded team. I actually know Andrew, and Emma I've spoken to a few times, and I'm actually trying to get her on the podcast as well. So nice. It sounds great. So I wonder if you can give us an overview of some of the projects that you're working on.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a pretty large portfolio of projects currently. So maybe I'll pick and choose a couple out of the
Yeah.
portfolio, so we don't inundate your listeners with with a bunch of jargon that that gets lost in it all. Um, so we've I think a couple of the interesting projects. Let's start with the portfolio we put together for Norseman Silver. That's a copper silver portfolio in northern BC here, all early stage, some with drill results on them, but no discovery to date. Primarily porphyry and VMS targets, and some really interesting numbers coming off of them. Interestingly enough, their Caribou asset was the first project I ever staked as a young prospector, and have held on to and worked on for a number of years. And they've historic samples off that are in excess of 60% copper in grab samples. So and over 20 ounces per ton silver. So I hope that they're able to replicate those. That's yet to be seen. That they're going to be executing a pretty wide-ranging drill and exploration campaign across their 4 assets. Silver Vista, really interesting. Probably a low sulfidation epithermal gold deposit there, or project. I shouldn't say deposit, that's the wrong term. And silver switchback. Honestly, we don't know what it is, but we're finding mineralization, and we hope to characterize it here over this exploration season. So it's an interesting project. Now, one of the ones that we really excuse me, spent a lot of time putting together was the LeBlanche asset, which we sold to Temas Resources about just under a year ago now. And they're going to be going in very shortly here to complete an updated PEA on the asset, as well as a pretty healthy metallurgical program and resource update. So there's a historic resource of about 18.5% titanium dioxide, TiO2, on the project, and the technology portfolio that they've recently acquired, we think we can upgrade that and make a pretty healthy concentrate out of it. So they'll be executing that over the coming months here, and stay tuned on that one. One of the other ones we're really excited about and have and I think it's probably fairly topical in the UK with a couple of companies operating there right now, is our helium asset. So we were a founding shareholder of a company called Imperial Helium. They've picked up 95 square miles, I believe it is. That's someplace around between 90 and 100 square miles in southern Alberta, and with a contingent resource of 1.1 BCF of recoverable helium on it. They've spudded their first well, and hopefully any day now should be reaching target depth, and we're excited to see the results off of that. It's a really interesting story on the asset they picked up. It had due to a mechanical failure, had a blowout in 1940 when they were exploring for helium, actually, down in the region to support the war effort. And it really got us thinking about the region in general, and ended up acquiring that asset, obviously. But it blew out at over 50 million MCF a day. So that's fingers crossed it comes in somewhere near that. And it's non-combustible gas, so it's a nitrogen rich system with lower grade helium, but quite large. So those are the big ones. And I just want to touch on one last one, just very briefly, but our strategic alliance with Alianza Minerals, the Klondike asset down in Colorado that we recently staked on a 50-50 basis with them. We'll be executing an exploration program on it here very soon, but we've characterized it in the sediment hosted copper deposits, and we think that there's an interesting play in the region down there, and been very deliberate with how we're entering Colorado and the Western United States in particular. I think there's a lot of opportunity, and to get out on the ground and really get back to fundamentals and bash some rocks, and hopefully find a few things that have been forgotten for a long time.
Yeah. Obviously, with all these projects that you're analysing, whether they've been brought to you or you've gone out and found, what are the main fundamentals for you in determining whether you move forward with the project? I mean, if you had your ideal project, what are, say, the top three fundamentals that you think that's great? We need to move forward with this.
Jurisdiction's a big one for us. Eventually, if we find something, we want to make sure we can build a mine there. We understand that political climate changes and that, but it's, that's a big one. Second is size potential. We want to, let's use copper deposits for instance. We don't want to go in and find a low grade 250 million ton project. We want to be someplace between 500 million and 1 billion pounds. That potential to find there, and grade. Size and grade, those are the two big ones from a technical point of view. Low grade's great, but high grade's better, and not even high grade, just good grades, things that you can open pit are of particular interest. And I guess local support is a big one. We don't want to go into a jurisdiction blind. We vary our model a little bit compared to other project generators, and where we will partner with local prospectors, local geologists, people that have a deep understanding of that local knowledge, and we bring them in on an equity ownership basis on the projects if they're interested in that on that basis there, so that we're all parties are aligned then.
Yeah. So as a conclusion, just wondering, you give us an overview of Cloudbreak discoveries over the next, say, 12 to 18 months, and any projects that you may have further in the pipeline.
Definitely, yeah. So we're going to be executing our strategy with Alianza in the Western United States, and that's going to be a very core focus for us. And I think we'll see some interesting lithium acquisitions in the coming couple of months here, and those acquisitions will be they've been curated for one particular client who's going to take a couple of them, and the other couple will be open for joint venture or option, and those will be focused in the brine sector in the Eastern United States. So I think those are going to be the two big pushes over the next little bit here. We do have active project generation in the nickel sector in Eastern Canada right now, and our day-to-day, smaller staking initiatives, we do have those active in Western Canada right now. And just to sort of cap it all off with our one of the reasons we listed in London, we're going to be making an entrance into Africa. We've been actively reviewing a pretty healthy portfolio in West Africa right now, and I'll next time we chat, I'll get into the jurisdiction, because I don't want to tip the hand too fast here. But it's all focused in the base metals and battery metals sector right now. We think that there's a really good opportunity and across the board there, and we want to capitalize on it along with the rest of the market. So we'll have a very active next 12 months. Let's put it that way. Yeah,
no, certainly it sounds it. Really appreciate your time, Kyla. Perhaps you can come on next year, and you may be able to tell us more about those discoveries in Africa that you're after. So really appreciate your time. If our audience wants to reach out to you, if they've got any questions, how can they go about doing that? Are you on any social media platforms?
Absolutely. We're on Twitter and we're on LinkedIn are our two primary platforms, and it's at Cloudbreak Discovery, I believe is our Twitter handle, and just Cloudbreak Discovery on LinkedIn. Otherwise, please feel free to reach out to us, info@cloudbreakdiscovery.com, and we'll do our best to get back to you as quickly as possible.
Yep. And what we do is we include those in the show notes as well, so people can reach out to you if they've got any questions, or if they've even got any projects that they may want you to get involved with. So really appreciate your time. Thanks for listening. Those that are listening on the podcast, appreciate you can share and like as you normally do. Those that are listening or watching, should I say, on the YouTube channel, appreciate if you can like and share below, so it goes out to the universe, across the world, across the internet universe. So really appreciate your time again. And I'll be watching your journey closely, especially with potentials in Africa. So wish you well with all that.
Thanks very much, Rob. Appreciate the your time this morning.
Yeah, no worries. And thank you for listening again. And until next time, happy mining.